My name is Benjamin Wickedens. Today I come to you as a representative of the Foreign News Services Organization, otherwise known as FSNO. I have been given the delightful privilege of being assigned the task to narrate the United States delegation's voyage to the planet Quirdmut on behalf of the World News. As you know, since their original landing in Washington, D.C., and the subsequent humanitarian assistance given to their planet by the United States, the Quirdmutian government has issued an invitation for a United States delegation to visit their planet in order to begin a diplomatic conversation and discuss the possibility of perhaps even a United States embassy being constructed there. Why only an American embassy? What's wrong with the rest of us? What? Oh, yes. Live mic. Oh, dear me. Sorry about that. I will now turn you over to Murph Dirksen from our sister station, YMI News. Good question, actually. Murph is live on the scene where the spacecraft that will carry the delegation to Quirdmut is about to take off. Murph, please describe the situation there for us.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Murph Dirksen reporting from the YMI News Washington Bureau. We have interrupted our usual programming to bring you this special report of this historic moment in time. In just a few moments, the intergalactic space vessel that you see behind me will be taking off for the planet Quirdmut, carrying a delegation from Earth that will be making the first of many visits to their planet, in order to build on our newfound relationship with these people from another world. They will be taking off from their landing spot on the Washington Mall. This is commemorative of the fact that the Mall is the place where the Quirdmutians originally landed when they first approached our planet for help. As you know, their planet was experiencing a severe starvation problem due to the depletion of their growing substance, which turned out to be none other than what we call spent uranium. Our assistance in offering all our spent uranium to them has caused the formation of a strong bond between the U.S. government and the planet Quirdmut. And so, we have now been invited to make the journey to their planet to strengthen that bond even further. YMI News has made arrangements to have 2 of our top news anchors on board for the entire trip, and they will be transmitting the events back to us as they happen. We will make sure to bring them to you as soon as we get them. But for now, let me introduce you to our panel. They are, from NASA, Dr. Star Burstling. To my left is Ambassador Isha Shami from UNUSA, the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs. And, here to give us a very different perspective, is Ms. Buffy Lighthead. Miss Lighthead represents Face You Space, a newly formed consortium of all our internet social networking groups, which has been formed in order to find a way to extend their services to include communications with the Quirdmutian population. First, to Dr. Burstling. You have been an important part of the team set up to coordinate with the Quirdmutians to ready the vessel for human space travel and make sure that all human necessities are arranged for. Why don't you tell us about that?
Well, the newly fitted-out vessel arrived only 3 days ago. What an incredible craft! The Quirdmutians have been very forthcoming with the sharing of their technologies, so that we will be able to enhance the expansion of our space program. With regard to getting this trip up and running, we have been working straight through in order to check and double-check that our people will have everything they need to sustain them. I don't mind telling you that it was touch and go for a while there as to whether we would make it on time, but we finally managed to complete the process and everything is now a go for takeoff.
Excellent. Ambassador Shami, what will be the involvement of the UN on this trip?
Actually, the division of the United Nations that I am a part of, which manages affairs of this nature, which is called UNUSA, will not be having a representative on this particular journey. When their vessel first landed in Washington, D.C., and we became aware that their visit was for humanitarian purposes, we immediately contacted the United States government to insist that all communications with these Quirdmut entities be processed through our agency. We could not seem to make these Quirdmut entities understand that our UN Charter demands that all humanitarian situations must be processed through the United Nations. The UN must be in charge. The United States should have first transferred all authority over its spent uranium directly to my department, so we, in turn, could distribute this element to these Quirdmut entities. After we processed it through several of our agencies, that is. Somehow, we have been totally circumcised in this endeavor. Oh, pardon me, I meant to say circumnavigated.
Excuse me, Ambassador. It was my understanding that the UN did receive an invitation from the Quirdmutian government to send a representative on this trip.
This fact is not relevant. We were not given enough time to hold all the necessary committee meetings and panel discussions in order to prepare for who might be the right party to have represent the United Nations correctly to the Quirdmutian government. Unfortunately, the Quirdmut entities were no longer willing to accept our ongoing postponement requests. And since they are not actually members of our organization, we found ourselves unable to enforce any authority over the situation. In the meantime, we are now in the process of forming a committee which would include the governments of all member nations, the intent of which is to develop a series of binding resolutions in order to eliminate the possibility of the United Nations authority being overridden at any later date.
Interesting. And just what does the UN plan to do in order to accomplish that? As you stated, Quirdmut is not a member nation of the UN. They're a whole other planet. How can the UN possibly exert authority over another planet?
The United Nations, and specifically my department, must receive the proper respect as ultimate authority. It is simply unacceptable that the United States should take a position to override the United Nations authority in these matters. I can assure you that there will be much discussion with President Trojan in order to rectify the situation. If the United States insists on continuing down this path, the United Nations will have no choice but to convene a special session to call them to task under our UN Charter Agreement.
I'm a little confused, Ambassador Shamey. If the Quirdmutian government chooses to work only through the US, what can the UN possibly do about it?
Well, the United States simply must relinquish their position. They must hand ultimate authority over to UNOSA as the United Nations authoritative agency in outer space affairs. I can assure you we will take steps, strong steps, if this is not done. I am not at liberty to discuss those steps any further at this time.
I see. Well, we will be most interested to hear your updates on this. In the meantime, let me now introduce our other panel member, Ms. Buffy Lighthead. Ms. Lighthead, how have your requests for the setting up of your social network been received by the Quirdmutians?
Those Quirdmut people are so cool. All they had to do was, send a special beam down here and bam, instant connection. It's sort of like an outernet. All they gotta do is connect their outernet to our internet. You just gotta pay attention to who's got the innie and who's got the outie. We're already doing this whole back and forth with a lot of them, and it's been, totally awesome. By the way, can I just, make a comment on what he said?
You mean Ambassador Shamey?
Yeah. The way I see it, it's, really all about the golden rule.
You mean, do unto others as you would have them do unto you?
Are you kidding me? No. He who has the gold rules. Duh. You know, these Quirdmutians have all this oil and stuff, and, they could, totally blast us out of the sky whenever they want to. And, if you ask me, I think the UN would be smart to watch its ass...
Excuse me, please. I am very much begging your pardon.
Oh my gosh, calm down already. I was just gonna say assertiveness. Gosh, don't get so nervous.
Excuse me, everyone, but I have just been notified that the vessel is about to take off any second. Wait, there they go now. Ladies and gentlemen, what an exciting moment in time. That spaceship took off already and it barely made a sound. How amazing.
And so, once again, members of the United States federal government agree to travel in another foreign-made vehicle. Will the mission succeed? Can our two peoples unite without incident? Then again, why the hell is everyone glowing? Find out next time on the Quirdmut Report.
This adventure was written by Saperstein and Merway and sponsored by TLCscripts.com.